In this assignment, we are given the task of writing a biography of one of the author's scholars. And in our research, we need to discuss about his personal life and one of his books. Turath book is heritage books, traditional or also referred to as old books, yellow books, and Jawi books. The technique of writing this book according to the tradition and method of previous scholars from the time of the great imams such as Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, and so on, where this technique is passed down from generation to generation. After discussing with the members of the group, we agree to discuss a well-known scholar, Syeikh Zainal Abidin Al-Fathani. He is a very famous person. Many works produced by him. One of his writing book is Aqidah Al-Najin.
The author for this book is Syeikh Ahmad Al-Fathani, and his full name is Zainal Abidin bin Muhammad Dahan bin Syeikh Wan Shamsuddin bin Syeikh Ja'far. He was born on 10 April 1856 year in the village of Bendang Badang, located in the basin of Sungai Patani, and died on 21 January 1908 year in Sungai Dua Seberang Perai. Furthermore, he adhered to the Shafi'i. There are various titles of Syeikh Zainal Abidin. Among them is the title of Tuan Minal, Al-Alim, and Al-Mudakik. Not only that, there are many scholars that praising Syeikh Zainal Abidin. Among them is Syeikh Muhammad Zain Fakih Jalaluddin, Syeikh Muhammad Zainuddin Al-Sambawi, and many else. Syeikh Zainal Abidin Al-Fathani is author Fathani who is very active. Among his books are Kashf al-Ghaibiyah and Aqidah al-Najin in the field of Usuluddin, and Kashf al-Litam and As'ilah al-Anam in the field of fiqh. Kashf al-Ghaibiyah tell about the matters related to the Day of Judgment. It is taken from several books like Daqaiqul Akbar, Duratul Hisan, and also Masyarikul Anwar. Despite the title of this book in Arabic, but the actual contents in Malay Jawi edition of the Arab translation of the scriptures to provide an understanding to those who do not understand Arabic. In this way, it gives a very clear explanation to all the readers of this book. Moreover, this book is composed of words that are easy to understand and structure. And next is Kashf al-Litam and Al-As'ilah al-Anam. It is a book of fiqh in Malay, which is the main reference in the archipelago. This book is also known as Kitab al-Furuq. This book contains 4 parts, namely worship, muamalat, munakahat, and also jenayat. The form of the arrangement of this book is also very organized, and it is divided into 4 levels, namely books, chapters, clauses, and also problems. The book is also in the Malay language edition of Jawi to meet the needs of the Malays that are unable to master the Arabic language. In terms of translation, it is very comprehensive and concise, and also given a brief explanation of the translation. And this book also very good in terms of his writing style, because he mentioned the source of reference at the end of the trial of a problem.
In conclusion, nowadays technology is becoming more sophisticated and modern. The human mind is also increasingly open to new knowledge and understandings that are less authentic of its truth. So, with this Turath book, it gives guidance to the present and future society. One of the authors of this book of Turath is Syeikh Zainal Abidin Al-Fathani. So, it is proven that the scholars of the past are very concerned about the Ummah in the past, present, and the future. We can also acquire knowledge in a clear way because the teaching of the book Turath its content directly and one by one. Finally, the book of turath is important in preventing and keeping Muslims away from the views or theory and philosophies of modern knowledge, as well as Western science that contradict Islamic belief.
The book of turath is defined as the book of heritage, traditional, or also referred to as the Old Book, the Yellow Book, and the Jawi Book. The translation and writing of the book turath is done by harfiyah, which is letter by letter. It have difference to the latest book that use translation and writing by mafhum, which is the writing is done according to the understanding as a whole and more generally. The book of turath is the book that is over 100 years old. The way to know the book of turath is by looking at the year the book was written. If the book does not have a year of writing, the reader should see the date of death of the author of the book.
One of the turath book that we study is the Kitab Aqidah Najin. This book was written by Syeikh Zainal Abidin bin Muhammad Al-Fathani, which is known as Tuaminan. This book is used by the people of the Nusantara, where they use this book as book of study and a source of reference for question about Aqidah. This book is also the third book of Tuaminan, which was written 7 years after his first book, which is Kashaf al-Ghaibiyat. The book Aqidah al-Najin contains 140 pages and is a rather thick book of Aqidah. The topic in this book is where in this book discuss the three main aspects of Aqidah Islamiyah. First, ilahiyat, second, nubuwat, and third, day of the hereafter. In addition, the author also discuss some ilmu tasawuf, namely knowledge, relate to good qualities and bad qualities. He highlight three aspects of faith in the form of an explanation of dalil akli based Al-Quran and Sunnah. The ilmu mantiq is also used to express a form of reasoning. In essence, the Kitab Aqidah Al-Najin is a book edited by the author of the book of Al-Barahin and reference to other source. This book cannot be said to be a work of translation 100% of the author, nor is it the original writing by the author. Before the reader discuss the content of the book, it is appropriate for the reader to know the main book, which is Al-Barahin, which is the author's reference. Syeikh Zainal Abidin state that among the reason for choosing the book Al-Barahin to be translated and used as his reference, first, to say that the book is compact and comprehensive. Second, simple and easy process. Third, there are additional information not found in the work of Tauhid the others. And the fourth, author of the book Al-Barahin is a wali, namely Muhammad bin Yusuf al-Sanusi.
Reason for authorship. The aim of this work was written by Syeikh Zainal Abidin is as present a Malay translation of the book Al-Barahin. The work Syeikh Sanusi as reading and guidance to Muslim in general. Iqtifad of all those who escape from heresy and bid'ah and expressing the knowledge of his reading. Its highlight, the goal of his true intention is composing this book. There are many important goals or messages that he has highlighted in this book. Among the goals is to strive to group all heretical beliefs and thoughts that are contagious and widespread in society. Besides, his purpose in writing this book is to deal with the dangerous disease, which is the disease of taqlid. Taqlid is according to something without knowing, where it is one of the dangerous diseases because it can damage human aqidah. Next, the status of this book in its field. Kitab Aqidah Najin is a book that can be categorized as muktabar in the field of Aqidah, especially in the archipelago. The importance and position of the book Aqidah Najin are also very closely related to the position and reputation of its main text, which is the book Al-Barahin in the Aqidah. Kitab Aqidah and Najin is also a work of faith and highlight the discipline of Usuluddin, where it is one of the most important discipline in Islam. This work also presents the principle of the sign of Usuluddin, or called with the knowledge of Kalam, which is combine the proposition of Aqli and Naqli, which is Al-Quran and As-Sunnah, for the gaze of future generations. Next, the importance to a seeker of knowledge. Firstly, the important is the seeker of knowledge needs to learn the knowledge of Aqidah, because the importance of learning the knowledge of the monotheism is undeniable, and it is most important knowledge to learn compared to other science. Second, Aqidah is the main basis for shaping human beings into believers and Muslim, and Allah also commands human beings to live as believer and Muslim. Faith shapes human beings to believe in Allah, His angel, His messenger in the hereafter, good and evil destiny, and also form human beings who are patient, pious, and others. So, this book is one of the books that the reader can refer to the true faith. Lastly, this book also talks about our importance in knowing God, which is the God who created us, and no other gods has the right to be worshipped except God. So, this book will reveal more in depth about these three aspects for knowledge seeker to know more deeply about Aqidah.
In conclusion, Turath book is one of the main sources and has a high value in the field of Islamic knowledge, such as Islamic beliefs, Islamic jurisprudence, and Islamic mysticism, which is necessary for every Muslim to learn it before they learn other science such as science modern. The Turath book is also important in preventing and distancing Muslims from the views of the theories and philosophies of modern and Western science that contradict the tenets of Islam. Therefore, as a wise reader, we must study the Islamic science through the previous authentic books, because they will be adapted according to the current era.